kind of a funny experience. I went in and I bought $3.50 worth of something. I gave the guy $20. It was $3.15. So I put the change, round it up, and put it on the movies. He said, "Oh, great." Brings it up as a receipt. Says, "Thank you very much." Wait a minute. I said, "Yeah, okay." So I didn't say anything. So I went to registered management and told them that rounding up the change means from 15 cents to
99.
$1, not taking all the change,
Right.
because that might turn people off.
Well, that could be something that, because sometimes I will do that. I will hand them a 20 or a 50 or 100 and say, just put the rest of it on the cards.
Yeah.
So they might have, gotten used to maybe me doing stuff like that.
So you want to give me my money back?
Yeah.
Well, here's the harvesters right now. Let's just get them done. Yeah, so I talked to Mr. Wright, and she said she would explain to them about rounding up the change. It wasn't a big thing. It was only like $12 or something, but we don't want to discourage people from doing that.
Right.
So, okay, public input, go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering who takes care of the rubbish on the side of the Highway 29 between here and Lower Lake, especially Hidden Valley, because it's pretty dirty. There's a lot of garbage.
There's a lot of people that sponsor that cleanup, and I happened to see a sign the other day, just the other side of the mansion, that 2 people were supposed to sponsor the cleanup.
Oh.
And there may be, between Middletown and Lower Lake, there may be half a dozen sponsors. I don't know.
How do we get a hold of them?
Do you know, Boris?
Well, they're only required by Caltrans to do it 4 times a year.
4 times a year.
That's all they're required. It's not like they're supposed to do it.
Well, I've seen people out between here and Hidden Valley.
Yeah, those are people who are
Almost
conscientious.
Yeah, almost every weekend they're out
But
cleaning.
that's the minimum amount that they're supposed to do.
4 times.
So I would say contact Caltrans.
Caltrans. Okay, is that something that Matt would do, or would we do that?
Individually, I think.
Okay.
Individually. Anybody else on this side over here? Any public comment? Yes, Morris.
Yes. Next Tuesday is the merchants honoring the teachers potluck at the multipurpose room. And on Wednesday, the Middletown Luncheon Club meets. There'll be a speaker talking about the museums of Lake County, and especially the Gibson Museum. And then on the 20th of September, there is a general meeting of the Lake County Historical Society at Holbrook's. And we're going to have the 2 Holbrook sisters, Sandy and Terry, are going to speak to us, as well as John Parker will have a PowerPoint presentation. This is a free presentation that's open to the public, and then they'll do a walkthrough of the Holbrook's.
When is that?
On the 20th, you may have a flyer.
Great. Great. Anybody else? Public input? Yes, go ahead.
Unfortunately, my printer cut some of this off, so I'll do the best I can. The Boggs Mountain Demonstration State Forest Presentation Community Forum, Boggs Mountain Forest Management during the drought. The public's invited to attend a presentation by Forest Management's Kent and CAL FIRE entomologist Don Owen to discuss forest conditions at Boggs Mountain brought on by the current drought and the management activities planned to improve forest management. Questions and answers session will follow. This will be on Wednesday, September 23rd, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Cobb Elementary School multi-use room up on Cobb. So, yeah.
Yes.
One other thing, this coming Saturday night, and I'm going to attend that before I come to the movies. It's the 30th anniversary of the Cobb Mountain School, and they're having a celebration at the Moore Family Winery. I think it begins at 5 o'clock.
I have just an announcement. I don't know how many of you know a gentleman by the name of Bob Roberts.
Yes.
Bob, we call him. He is, he's the last of the cowboys around here that actually was a cowboy and rode line and fixed fence and took care of cows and was a veteran, is a veteran, and was present in the Pacific when they exploded the atom bombs, you know, and the sailors got to watch it. Well, probably as a result of that, he got throat cancer and he's had a tough time. And we're about to lose Bob. And so I want to let you know that. And if you have time, and you can say a prayer for him, I'd appreciate it. He's a very special guy in that he's seen things that we read about and that we hear about, that he actually lived and sat when he was healthy and listened to him tell tales about the cowboy and taking care of cows and all that and something else. He's in very bad shape over in Lakeport in a rest home. His wife Kathy, they live outside of town here. And we'll let you know what happens. We'll have a celebration of his life when the time comes. But he's in bad shape. So if you have time, think about him. And we appreciate it.
Fletcher's and Bob, wasn't he a wonderful artist also?
Oh, great
And
artist.
A phenomenal
If you
color.
go down to Cowpoke or almost anywhere, you can get pictures. He worked in charcoal, and he did mostly barns and trees and horses and things like that. And he's quite a guy. Quite a guy. My wife said he's the last of the Gary Coopers, and while he may not be as tall as Gary Cooper, he had the same attitude and the same outlook on life, and we wish him well. We went to see him the other day, and it was, as it is with anybody you care about, when you see him in a way that you're not used to seeing him, it's tough. But our hearts go out to him and to his wife Kathy, and please take time to say a prayer for him, okay? One other thing on public comment, I have next month, I have, as you see on the agenda, Middletown's school superintendent, Catherine Stone, is going to be here, and we're going to talk about school and the new school and the old school and speed bumps and things, fences and stadiums and all the things that maybe you have questions about. She's looking forward to being here. She wanted to come this month, but she had a previous engagement. So pass the word if you want to know what's going to happen with our youth next year in Middletown Unified School District. It'd be an opportunity to come and talk to her. She's the lady in charge now. I have, you know, we were concerned about the speed along the new school there on Big Canyon Road and on Santa Clara. And so the county put out some strips that measures the speed of the traffic, how frequent, when it was, all that. And I have those reports on both Big Canyon Road and Santa Clara for like 2 weeks. It shows you how many cars went by, what the fastest was, what the slowest was, what the average was. It gives you a lot of information. So I'll make these available to you if you want to look at them later on. I want to keep them because I want to be able to go over it with Ms. Stone when she gets here. Okay? So I'll put them right here for you.
Can you give us kind of a breakdown? Have you gotten a chance?
Yeah, I looked at them, and I was I was surprised that on Big Canyon Road, you know, we were concerned about Harbin Springs traffic coming over the bridge and around that corner and coming onto that school zone with very little notice and nothing but a little school sign sitting there. And now that we have those young people, very elementary grade kids going to that school, you know, we got a crosswalk and we got a guard, but young people sometimes don't wait for crosswalk guards, and they get an idea across the street, they'll cross right in front of you. So I looked at the speeds, and it wasn't as bad as the average. Total average for the whole time was 33 miles an hour, which is a little fast. We had Friday nights seemed to be the night that there were the fastest speeds, sometimes 50, 55 miles an hour in front of the school. And these strips are right in front of the school. And then Sunday night was bad. And I assume it's people trying to get home or trying to get to Harbin or coming back or whatever, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. On Santa Clara, it was Friday nights on this report wasn't too bad because they've been having the Jim Candace Friday night, so it's not such a good shortcut for them during that period of time like it normally is. But still, there was traffic going 55 miles an hour down Santa Clara. The average, the maximum overall average was like 28 to 44. That's for the 2-week period.
You know, Fletcher, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Where they placed those strips, it didn't catch a lot of the traffic because they missed the traffic coming up off of Lake Street because it's County Park, whatever, the Central Park Road and Lake Street where they're coming up off the highway and coming down. So it didn't catch any of the traffic that came up through Lake Street because it was placed over by between Stonefield and Tim Road. So
give me a reference. Where is that? Here?
Well, Lake Street, you know where the Cal Fire is.
Yeah.
Okay, that at the intersection of Santa Clara, that turns into Stonefield.
Okay.
On the north side. But then if you go further west on Santa Clara Road, then that's Tim Way, and they had it between Tim Way west.
Tim Way is that subdivision.
Yeah. So it didn't catch any of the traffic that came up.
Well, I think it's probably our fault because we told them that they were using it as a shortcut from
Central Park.
Central Park.
Yeah.
So that's.
But the other thing, it wasn't catching any of not catching, it wasn't counting any of the Cal Fire trucks and the South County fire trucks that come through there constantly.
Well, I've got this, and
Okay.
we're going to put this on the agenda.
Right, now was that Mr. Comstock's doing to get that on the road?
No, I got Todd Manziel.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
because I thought maybe he pushed it.
Well, he might have. He might have
Because
helped us,
I thought it was him, and I called him and said thank you for getting that done. but I wasn't sure.
No doubt he helped, but I met with Todd Manziel at the site of Santa Clara
Okay,
3 months ago, and I've been talking to him. He said, well, we're going to put out some meters and so on. I said, okay, so I got this. He called me and said he had the report, so I had him send it to me, and I made copies. So you're welcome to take a look at it, and I thanked him for his help. And we can decide the best thing to do, and the one on Big Canyon Road is going to depend a lot on the school, what the school wants to do. Originally, the other superintendent of schools said he'd be willing to put one of those flashing lights that when you come around the corner, it tells you how fast you're going, and blinks and tells you too fast, too fast, too fast. But they didn't get that done before he left, so hopefully Ms. Stone will be able to find enough money in her budget to do that. That'd be a big help, I think. Okay, so That's all the public comment that I have. Anybody else have anything? Marlene?
Yeah, I went earlier and I went all the thank yous to all the different businesses and people that have helped with the movies in the park, so I don't know if you want me to go over that again now that we have more people. But this Saturday night, we're going to be watching Bark Ranger. Lovey's Garden Supply is the sponsor of this movie, and this will be the last movie of this summer. So,
Who hasn't been down there to the movies? You ought to take time to go down because it's amazing. You won't even believe how many people we get down there. It's absolutely amazing. So good job, Marlene. Okay, item 4, arches at entrances to Middletown Park. I don't know who put that on the agenda. Did you, Marlene?
yes, that was me. At the two front entrances where the highway is, I would like to request that the county maybe put in some permanent arches there, so we can use them when we run our Christmas lights. When we have events, we can hang streamers and banners and that kind of thing from them, instead of every time we have an event or something, somebody having to put something up there. So I was just thinking if maybe we could write a letter to the county requesting to do something like that. It doesn't have to be super expensive or super fancy, just something that makes it easier for us to maneuver in our park.
There's two things we need. That's one of them. The other big thing we need is electricity. The chili cook-off, as you know, raised about did raise $5,000 for the senior center, but it was agony because we couldn't get any of the plugs out front to work because they were locked up, and we couldn't get a key to get in, and nobody had a key, and da-da-da. And so we had to finally get a generator from the harvesters and took it down. And I don't know, did you take it back?
No?
Somebody from harvesters took it back, and I don't think we
Oh, I think I did actually.
I don't think we even got a bill for it. We only used it for about an hour and a half, but without it, we'd have been in trouble.
Yeah.
So we got to get some
Yeah,
electricity.
and I'm having some problems with the safety issues of running electricity for the movies and for vendors and all of that.
Well, and the bands that we have, they've been concerned about power too. So
Right.
we've got to get more
I
power.
also have a generator at my store too, if one's needed.
Me
I-
too, but I didn't bring it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
I
mine's
had
on
two
a
of them.
wheelie cart.
Yeah.
If someone
Okay.
can lift one into my truck.
The
have
question
one
I
too.
have is, what kind of arches would we put there? You know, we could put,
We can put wood ones there, we
Yeah.
could try nice metal ones, they're more expensive.
arches are a little more difficult to make out of wood.
Yeah, well, even a square arch, doesn't have to be a round arch.
No, we can't have a square arch. Let's get that straight right now.
Okay.
We're not gonna have a square arch.
Just something that goes
Romans
over
wouldn't
the
like
top.
that at all.
We could check with Joe Felber and see if he could make some for us.
Yeah, Joe could do something.
We're gonna do the Gothic, where it peaks.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
just something, that would make it a lot easier for us to,
You know what I found with Joe Filbert? Just tell him you want something over there and then just turn him loose. He's a pretty clever fellow.
I have some ideas for some artwork in the park that he could probably
Okay,
do.
I will talk to Joe. I'll see him in the morning.
Something with,
And
Yeah.
we'll see if we can get him motivated to do something, okay? Marquee for Middletown Park.
That's me again. With all the events that we're starting to have with the community center, the library, the senior center, the things in the park, I was thinking it would be nice to have a marquee in the front of the park so that when people are driving by, they know what's happening, what food's being served at the senior center, what book sales, what events are happening, because it's really hard for people to know what's going on. So if we had a marquee, people could drive by and go, oh yeah, that's going on this weekend, I'm gonna go do that.
I think it's a good idea.
So I have a lot of different, anywhere from just a freestanding sign like this that's $139, to they have the electronic signs that are like tens of thousands of dollars.
Less than that.
But we also have signs like this,
Mhm.
you know, that are fairly reasonable.
So you're talking like sign it, like the sign that the high school has out there, something like that?
Right, so not necessarily that, depending, I was thinking maybe we could get a committee together and decide maybe what we really wanted and like what kind of price range we're looking at, and go to the county and see if they can help us do something like that.
Okay,
There's all different kinds, you know, there's ones that are like out on football fields, there's, you know, this one that you can mount permanently. I can pass these around if people want to look at them.
yeah. That would be a great idea rather than sandwich boards or
Yeah.
put up and take
So
down.
if people
I thought-
kind of want to look at different ideas.
I thought that you couldn't have illuminated signs on the highway.
Well, these aren't necessarily all illuminated. The electronic ones are, but there's a lot that aren't. They're just letters that you place on the board, which of course then creates another problem. We have to have someone to do it. Take things down, put things up, change things around.
Let me
That's
ask you a question,
project.
Margaret. You said, are you talking about on state right of way?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, on state right of way, either on Highway 29 or Highway 175.
Yeah.
Because that was my understanding with Caltrans, is you could not illuminate a sign, like a sign, because it's a hazard
An
to,
animated sign.
yeah. I mean, any kind of sign.
So is there a
Well, we
certain
don't
distance from the road?
Yeah, see, and I don't know, because I was looking to light up the tower that I have, and Caltrans said no.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, but we wouldn't necessarily
Joe,
need
can you
it.
find out whether
Regulations for signs, right here.
that's county?
That's county.
Oh, I see.
This
Yeah,
is, this is
that's
on highway
not gonna apply
frontage.
here. Joe, would you find out and maybe let us know, and then we'll get a committee, and we can always put it on the park property.
Still
Right,
have to comply with the county sign ordinance.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
No, we're Middletown, we do what we want. We're Middletown, we do what we want.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
then I don't know who we
Word
would
and
find
gem.
to do that, to maintain the sign and change it all the time.
Well,
That's-
that would depend on what kind of sign you get.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking more of a manual sign than an electronic sign, personally, but.
Yeah, but then you get people changing your words around on it. That's happened to me.
Oh,
They-
really?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
Creative spelling exercise.
Frank.
No, see, no, I mean, I don't remember what the sign said, but they changed it around tonight and said, come see big boobs.
Yeah.
You know, that kind
Pretty
of
soon your
stuff.
message
Yeah.
is completely different than you thought.
Art, you guys don't have a sign there, do you, at the store? Do you
Yeah.
Do you have a marquee like that?
We do, just the illuminated canopy.
Yeah, oh, okay.
The church has a little illuminated sign on the corner, on Highway 29. The school, you know, right across, right next to the
Bible
church. Yeah. Yeah,
They do?
they changed the
Is that
phrases all the time.
illuminated?
Yeah,
But that's on their own property.
yeah, but it's right up against the right of way.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, we could
It's
do
right at the end
that
of their
here.
driveway. It's just a backlit, it's backlit and then the letters are black.
We'd have, like Laura said, we'd have to comply with the sign ordinance if it's gonna be the county, because it's gonna be the county. So would you find out what the state would make us do and all that?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on the marquee for Middletown Park? I think it's a great idea, because I found myself reading the high school one to find out what's going on
Oh,
there.
cool, thanks.
Game night at Middletown Park, I know who that is. Marlene?
That's me again. So I was wondering if the community is interested in having a game night in the park once a month in the summertime. We could set up an area that would be like board games, card games, that kind of thing. We could set up an area that might be like gunny sack races, lawn bowling, that kind of thing. If anyone's interested, I will put the legwork into it to see if it can be done and how to do it. And my thoughts on it are possibly having some of the churches, if they're interested, have each church maybe in our community do one Saturday a summer, so it's not a huge burden on them, and they can help with setting up the games and, you know, corralling the kids and keeping everything organized. And they could do their own fundraising at that as well, and then, but they would only have to do it like one Saturday a year or less, maybe one Saturday every 2 years. We have a lot of churches and we only have so many months in the summertime. But I would go around and do the legwork, possibly get the chess club involved, see if they want to get tournament things going on. And I have some other ideas for chess. I would love to get huge chess pieces because I think it would be so fun. You can get big chess pieces that are like up to 6 feet tall, and you can get checkers that are, you know, this big around that you can play with. And so anyway, this is kind of what I'm thinking about, and I don't know if anyone's interested in it enough for me to pursue it.
Okay, comments?
Sounds good to me. Something to do in Middletown.
I absolutely refuse to say I don't think it'll work. Anything Marlene wants to do because she's proven me wrong many times. I think that this, I asked the charter school, you know, I said, if we had a chess tournament and there were big pieces and you'd get a team and one team would be against the other team and you move chess pieces around and have a game on a Saturday, would you be interested in that? They thought it was a great idea for kids to do.
Okay.
So
if
Charter school's
everyone is
interested.
interested, I will do the research on that and get back to you
I think it's worthwhile.
on what I can,
I wonder if they have like a giant battleship game that we could do.
I don't know, but you know what, they have
That'd be
lighted
fun.
bocce balls.
They do?
Yes,
Really?
yes.
Can we get those Sunomono suits also, the big Suno
Oh, that
wrestlers?
would be fun too. I don't know if the insurance of the county would let us do that, but we could try it.
Well, why don't you find out and report
Let's
back?
do a zip line too.
And anybody as a group that might be interested, talk to them about it. I talked to charter school, they'd be very interested in doing something like that. So.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of the churches maybe doing it because, one, they could fundraise, but two, they have the congregation that can help because this isn't going to be as expensive as the movies, but it'll be more labor intensive.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Item 7, Dollar General Committee update. I don't think they're here, but I'll give you,
Aren't you on the committee?
But,
are you on the committee?
well, yeah, but I didn't report.
Rosenthal's committee person. I'll tell you what I know, and we'll go from there. I attended the appeal for Kelseyville Dollar General and listened to the comments from the community of Kelseyville and the comments of the Board of Supervisors. And it was interesting because there was the normal emotional response. I don't like Dollar General no matter what. Why don't you like Dollar General? I just don't like it. Okay, so, but you discount those, and other people had real issues about the location, about the products they sell, cigarettes. Are they going to sell alcohol? Are they going to sell beer? Are they going to sell whiskey? And da-da-da. And, oh, wait, never mind. I'm going to stop my report right now because the chair... Do you have a report, Monica?
Yeah, on Dollar General.
Yes. Well, good, then I'm going to stop. I was just telling you, I went to the meeting...
Oh, you can go ahead.
No. I'd rather not. I just got to the point where we heard a lot of testimony. Some of it just pure emotional, and some of it fact-based and concern-based from the community. So at that, I'll let you take over from there.
Okay.
By the way, you're late.
Yeah, I apologize. It's,
You have to kill yourself tomorrow morning.
okay. All right, tomorrow?
Tomorrow daylight.
I have to wait until after. I was just setting up for picking grapes tomorrow morning, so we're harvesting.
Got to make a living, don't we?
Exactly. So anyway, as Fletcher was saying, that's that I was going to give a brief report also on the Kelseyville meeting that was on August 25th. The Board of Supervisors heard the Kelseyville Dollar General project. The applicant, Dollar General, had appealed the decision made by the Planning Commission. Is everyone aware of this? Okay, so I don't want to repeat stuff. But anyway, Laco News did a fabulous job of reporting on that whole hearing, And so you could go back and look at Wednesday, August 26th of Lake News. It gives a very fine report on that hearing. The other thing that if you're interested more in hearing basically the entire hearing, you can go to the Lake County government website and pull up the video from the meeting and listen to it in its entirety. So a couple of things points that were made is, number one, the Kelseyville community was very organized and prepared in their presentation. They had a clear and very strong community voice on the project. The Dollar General representative was not present. The developer Joe Dell, who was here also at the presentation that we had from Dollar General, he was there, and an economic analysis representative by the name of Amy Herman. Their findings to deny the project or to deny the appeal were based on safety issues and the community character. Other comments that were brought up was also the economic analysis. Anthony Farrington, supervisor for District 4, had expressed an interest in also knowing what the cumulative effects were of having several Dollar Generals throughout Lake County. And there were no answers for that, as their economic representative gave just a very sketchy, actually, analysis of just their immediate area. But on to us here in Middletown. Again, the Community Development Department, to my knowledge, has not yet received an application for this project. It is basically in its phase of development. This board had received a notice from the Community Development Department to respond as an agency. So, and agencies fall into the category of there's the Air Quality Control, Sierra Club, Farm Bureau. Those are all considered to be agencies that review projects before the final application is prepared. So, at this point in time, the committee, since the last meeting here, we did not actually hold a meeting. We kind of did an email meeting and consensus by email. And basically at this point, the committee would recommend that, of course, that the board respond to the request from the Community Development Department. Those requests from the Community Development Department include, they were asking if this particular agency, this body, has any additional information or needs any additional information, which permits this body would require, what environmental concerns we might have, and do we recommend a negative declaration or an environmental impact report. And then one other thing is, does this agency recommend any project modifications to reduce potential environmental impacts? So the committee recommends that, number one, MAC does not, to my knowledge, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't really require any permits of any kind. So that's not applicable. Our environmental concerns on this project would be related to the fact that this project isn't in the flood zone, and what in regard to anything in regard to grading or fill, I think is what this group would be concerned with. We would recommend a negative declaration rather than an EIR, and compliance with the Middletown area plan. And that's the consensus of the committee to date.
And an area plan, and also the
Highway 29.
Highway 29.
Caltrans,
Our grant application, the design from that. Forget what it's called. But I talked to Rick about that too.
Oh, good.
And he said that they would add that in. At first he said, well, I'm not sure if we can. I said, well, it was approved by the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
So you can.
Right.
And so he was going to do that.
Perfect.
Thank you, Joe.
Good.
Marlene?
So I was just curious now, is Caltrans involved in this at all? Dealing with the traffic issues there? Is that a
Yes, Caltrans
safety
is another
thing?
agency that reports because, yes.
Okay.
they do have, again, they're on the highway, so they have some compliance issues where there are some requirements to meet that come from the Caltrans. Yeah.
At our last meeting, I said that perhaps we would be ready for a vote on whether or not math was going to support it or not support it. And then Monica and I had an interesting conversation relative to math and to the town hall. And we discussed at length whether or not math is a town hall by itself or a advisory committee for the Board of Supervisors. As a town hall, we should all understand that a town hall gives an opportunity for the whole community to come and express their opinions about things, whatever they want to talk about. And as a matter of fact, I don't even think a real town hall has a set agenda like we do. But maybe they do. But certainly a town hall doesn't necessarily take positions on some of the things that we feel we have to take positions on. Now, that's not to say that we're not a town hall, because I think we are, but I think we're also a municipal action committee, or better known as a MAC.
Yeah, it's Municipal Advisory Council.
A municipal advisory council.
Yeah, we were sworn in by the board of supervisors.
Yeah, and in our charter, in our mandate from the county, is that we advise them on issues relative to all kinds of things in the community. So, that being said, we should take action to the extent that we decide as a community whether or not we want something in our town, and if it fits in with our town, and so on. The question is, are we ready to do that? I think we're, as I've said for the last 6 months, I think we're still premature, because I don't know what they want to do, what's been approved, what's not been approved. Joe, you've not seen much, have you?
I haven't seen anything. I talked to Rick about it when I was up there 2 weeks ago on Thursday, and he said they were going to move forward with the application process, but I don't think they've heard from Caltrans yet, and that's an awful big thing to have hanging out still. So when they see what Caltrans recommends, then they'll make a decision, and then we'll probably move forward. Now, that could have happened in the last week, I'm not sure.
I have a little drawing that I got off the internet of their latest little drawing, but it's only their drawing. Nothing's been approved by Caltrans. They show some turn lanes, but whether or not they meet Caltrans requirement, I have no idea. So
They did a study or something, they were waiting for the results of a
Yeah.
study of some sort.
I don't know whether, and it's up to you folks, whether we're ready to say we want or we don't want Dollar General, because I don't know what things are going to look like. I don't know where it's going to be at or anything. Yes, sir.
One of the points that I brought up is I think that there's certain voices in this community that are not being heard, that we can say as math that we're representing the community, but if we don't give everybody a chance to speak.
I beg your pardon?
If we don't give everybody a chance to speak on this.
What are you talking about?
Well, there are people in this community who, are not available to come to the math meeting. Single parents and that kind of thing. As a single parent, I can tell you that it's not easy to come to these math meetings, to get to come once a month and then occasionally get a chance to speak on this. And there are a lot of people who feel strongly that they'd like to have a Dollar General. They want other shopping choices here. And I think we need to give them a chance to speak, but they're not available. Math is not a real conducive forum for them to come and speak their mind on it, because it takes a lot of time to come here once a month to wait, and then we have a little discussion about it. But the people who need it most, the people who are scraping to try to get by, we need to hear from these people too, and not just say, oh, well, we're representing the community and And this is what we've decided. We talked about the idea, well, maybe we could do a videotape so that these people have a chance to speak, and then we could just bring the videotape in.
What about like Facebook for math? And then that way it gives everybody a platform to discuss the issues that's going on.
What'd you
with
say,
math.
Mark?
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm saying, what about like a Facebook page for the math, for math? That way everybody has an opportunity to see what's on the agenda and what's been discussed and then reply to that.
there are a lot of people who don't think that highly of math, frankly. I mean, no offense, but because they don't feel like they got a voice. And I think it's important that we make sure that if this thing goes through one way or the other and they didn't get a voice on it and it doesn't go the way that they want, that burns a little bit, and they at least got to get a chance to speak on it, This is
I'm not sure how you fix that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's gonna feel guilty no matter what happens.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in this community can give their opinion and go one way or the other, but I think if Dollar General meets all of the requirements that Middletown area has, then we really don't have an option. There's nobody that can really say no because they've met all the requirements.
I hope so, but it feels kind of like we and this may be just my perception, but it feels like the goal post keeps moving as we,
Well, I don't know what you mean by goal. Let me tell you my experience, personal experience, okay? I started off here with math, and when this started, I took flyers to every business in town. Said Dollar General. I go to Harvesters, and I said, there's going to be a meeting, and we're going to discuss this. I tell you, I do it all the time. I go to a little breakfast club we have in the morning, and there's about 10 guys there, and every one of them owns a business in this town. Every one of them. And some of those businesses have been here for 50, 60 years. And I say, they say, well, we ought to just let them do it. I said, okay, well, come down and especially, I don't want to do that. I said, well, how are the people that you elect to act if they don't know what you're thinking is? He said, well, I don't have time. I said, don't tell me you don't have time. Don't tell me you don't have time. I'm just as busy as you are, and I make time. If it's important, then you make time. I don't care whether you're a single parent or you have 6 parents, 14 kids, or no kids. You can make time if it's important to you.
Is your name Greg?
Greg, yeah.
Yes.
Greg. Well, here's another thought, Greg. On the board of directors, there's phone numbers right here. So maybe they could call. Also, there's an email, Math Town Hall, so maybe they could email. I haven't received anything.
I haven't either.
A phone call or an email, maybe a few, but
I went
so
down
I'm just giving you some options that perhaps they could call or email. It's right here.
I went down to the apartment block next to the new school, and that's low-income housing. And, I talked to a number of people, and they're a little aggressive about this because, you could say, well, they could make time, but I can tell you, when I get home tonight, I got to cook dinner for 4 kids. It'll be 9 o'clock. I got to run home and I got to make dinner for 4 kids. It's not easy for them necessarily to come here, and they don't necessarily. Some of them don't have cars and stuff.
Well,
And
Greg, is this idea that I just said, phone calls or
They could do
email,
that,
is
yes.
that's, you got to do something. They got to.
Some of it is they could get off their
They could-
butt a little bit and go.
You think
go
a little
do that.
bit?
Sure.
Thank you.
And it's human nature that they're going to sit on the sideline and go, well, it's not going the way that I want, and I'm upset about that. I understand that.
Well, somebody's going to be upset one way or the other. Half of the people will and half the people won't. So that you have to accept that reality too.
It is amazing. My close personal friends, I can't pry them loose to come down here. I mean, it's terrible.
But they'll sit and talk about it
Oh,
one way or the other
absolutely.
afterwards.
Absolutely. They'll say, well, why did you let that happen? What did I let it happen? I'm 1 vote. There's 8 of you, that's 8 votes.
Here,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be confrontational, okay? But what's the lady with the art barn there? She is very good at organizing people, you know, and she brought in a lot of people, and you know, okay, she's good at bringing people in who support her perspective, but that doesn't mean that is, just because that seems like the most prevalent perspective here, it doesn't mean that the community as a whole agrees with that. That means that she's an effective community organizer, not that that's the pulse of the community.
It means that those people were concerned enough, after being notified by her, that they took time out of their life to come here. That's what it means to me. They actually showed up and they were sitting around here and they were willing to express their views. Whether you agree with them or not has nothing to do with it, you know.
And Greg, I don't
They were here.
also,
They're gonna show up to
if
vote.
you could organize the people that are pro Dollar General, they could go to the Board of Supervisors with signs or call them and say, I want Dollar General, but I haven't heard that myself.
Well, I don't know, we nagged the county supervisor all the time, yeah.
Well, Jim Comstock is, you know, pretty much for the Dollar
Oh,
General.
he's for it, there's no doubt about
So,
that.
you know, you're not alone,
Yeah.
and so it's not a conspiracy. you know,
Well, I'm
or
not saying
anything
this
like
conspiracy or anything, and you know, I
Or
mean.
unfair,
it is-
unjust.
It is fair that, yeah, she's a better community organizer than I am, so she gets people in. But I think
that.
also
But the
that
community
the
did
people
come
that are on
down.
that are on the no side, are maybe a little bit more available to come down here and sit through, you know, I mean, I came and sat through a better map.
Maybe they make themselves more available.
Yeah, I know.
It's their
There's,
personal
there's,
decision.
there's so many variables to this, we can't, you know,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
You know,
It's
you
still-
put the notice out, we're required to put the notice out, just a minute, Mike. And we do our best to communicate with people, tell them we have empty seats, it's not standing room only, come down and express your views. If they choose not to, I mean, we're not gonna go collar them, yeah, Monica.
A couple things. One thing that is different here in this area than in the Kelseyville area is that we do have, as Greg's pointing out, we have two different voices on this particular project. So we're not going to come together as nice and neatly as Kelseyville did, you know, in one. And we're often like this on issues of this nature. We have two strong voices and, you know, on opposing sides. So one of the things that we need to do is there needs to be a little give and pull on both sides. If this project comes through, and if it does meet, you know, and comply, because we have legal issues that, you know, we can't just stand in the way of projects. And, you know, legally, some projects if they meet all the requirements, they're going to be here. But we as a community, we need to take a look at what we want this town to look like. So whether you want the project or you don't want the project, we have Dollar General in front of us now, or potentially we have Dollar General in front of us, but if not Dollar General, it's going to be another
Something else.
project.
Yeah.
And so we do need to come together as a community of what do we want here, and what do we want it to look like. So if they come, you know, for those people who don't want them here and they come, then and they end up down there, I mean, just think about it, that if we don't come together on what we want that building to look like, if they do show up, it's going to be a major eyesore for a long time for many of us. And on the other side, you know, too, if they do come and you rejoice with that, you know, there again, we want to make sure that it fits in with the town. So.
For 5 years, every Dollar General looks horrible.
Mhm.
Every single one.
Okay,
Yes.
you recognize, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that there's already stuff that's here that a lot of people probably disagree with and agree with. We're not all going to see eye to eye.
Exactly.
So again, as long as they meet the requirements, I don't think anybody can tell them no.
But you can tell them no, it's just a question of, if no to them, is there going to be no to the next group that comes in, or?
Is it going to be no to everything?
Yeah, I don't know. I know one thing, that personally, I was not happy with the design, and I was not happy with the location of the building. I don't have a problem with Dollar General, you know. My store, Hardisters, that's where I shop. They'll survive Dollar General, believe me. They may not want them here, and that's their business, but they will survive. But my big concern is that we have something there that's going to take away from the town as a whole, to look at the town. We've tried to create, by way of this area committee and our design and all those years we went through that, trying to get bulb outs and pavement markers and all kinds of things to slow traffic down and make people understand they're coming to a community. We don't want to ruin that by letting them just any old building come in, a square building with 2 windows and an acre and a half of parking lot out front. That's not what we want. We want it to fit with the rest of it. Get that building out near the highway so that it fits in.
That's what store 24 is.
What's that?
You just described store 24.
Yeah, but store 24 happened before
Yeah, before
we
we
sat
had the
down
area
and
plan.
reevaluated the Middletown area plan.
But what was the last building that fit that criteria? It's the Oddfellows building 100 years ago. You know, who builds, nobody has built a building like that.
There is a design on the building across from the cowpoke at the old, there used to be an old gas station there. And they designed it to fit in completely with the town. I saw the design and it was beautiful. It was great. 2-story building, old style. It was right up next to the sidewalk and it was great. Parking in the back. It was exactly the kind of thing that you would like if you saw it. So the designs are out there. Now,
By the way, the cowpoke has a very nice design. So, with the picnic area in the back and all.
they spent a lot of money making that place.
That's beautiful.
I'd like to
It's
add just a
gorgeous.
little bit. I was in Santa Fe 2 weekends ago. They have every
Stop
imaginable
bragging.
chain store. I know, it was a great time. And every chain store that was out there was out in the shopping center with miles and miles of parking lots and everything. But in the historic downtown of Santa Fe, there is nothing like a Dollar General. There's nothing there that interferes with the architecture of the downtown historic part of Santa Fe. And I think this town here could be a historic town also. And maybe the Dollar General could be down in Hidden Valley Lake where they have more commercial looking things with parking lots. Sorry about that.
Hold on a minute.
But anyway, that was just my input, you know. and-
Are you our
Should
only
not be
Hidden
a
Valley
suburb
rep
of
tonight?
Hidden Valley Lake, you know.
You're the only Hidden Valley rep tonight?
Becoming just a suburb.
Hang on a minute, let's, the question is, are you thinking now you want to take a vote on this, or
No.
we're not ready for that? Okay, we all
We
agree
were
on
ready
that.
months ago. but not-
Okay. Okay. I haven't seen the final design. I don't know what's going to be before the planning commission. Our commissioner knows what we want, and I think he can express that, and we always have the option, if you have time, and you can take time, to go to the planning commission meeting. I went to it, went to the board of supervisors meeting, took time off from work to do that, because I think it's important. And when it comes before the planning commission, when we finally get a design, then maybe it'll be time for us to get together and talk about whether it's something we want or not want.
And we may need to pull an emergency meeting, you know, or
That's right,
something,
we may.
because the time frame on the notice for that may not fit with the regularly scheduled math meeting.
I'll give you a bit of insight on Caltrans. One of the guys that makes decisions on the highway, he buys bulls from us. And he was at the pre-application meeting, and he just happened to be sitting next to me. He says, what do you guys want in Middletown? I said, what do you mean? He said, do you want it or not want it? I said, well, one thing we don't want to have congestion and all that. We want turn lanes, we want all that, So I saw him a few weeks ago. He says, well, he said, we got all the turn lanes you ever need. Now, what that meant, I think they plan to make them put in turn lanes, and I heard curb and gutter, sidewalk, the whole 9 yards, which may, I don't know, it may price them out of business, because that's very expensive, as you know. So we'll see. But until we get a design, I don't really know what to say. So,
Has anyone ever asked Store 24 to change their appeal? I mean, they've painted tons of times.
but we've had our moments with Short 24, and I'll tell you what they were. He wanted to have diesel, okay? And he wanted, you know where the planter is? He wanted to put a diesel storage tank right out there. And we went to him and said, you're not going to be able to do that. He said, sure. He said, I've already got the permit. I said, no, you don't. You don't have the permit. And so we brought pressure to bear on him. And the next month, he was, maybe some of you were here at the math, he came to the math meeting and he said, I've changed my mind. We're going to put the storage tank in the back.
Yay.
So that's public pressure without having the officials do it. That's just the community talking to that owner and getting him to change his design to fit the community. We didn't want that diesel tank up there where somebody could run into it and just burn the town down.
It's right
So
in the corner,
Yeah.
right there.
Curtis, just to answer your question about, as far as what is and what will be, or could be, like Beulah's, which is, I don't know, I like Beulah's, but if they ever went in to apply for permits to upgrade their facility, then they would have to come into compliance. So
You'd have to
leave
tear
it
it
the way
down.
that it is. They leave it the way that it is, and they don't touch it, they don't improve it, they don't have to comply, they don't have to update to meet that Middletown area plan. The same with the building there next to it with the big parking lot in front of it. So, but as soon as they go in to make changes, then they'll have to.
At the Cowpoke, we put probably $150,000 to $200,000 in upgrading of it with the patio in the back and all that. There's one thing we did not touch, and that was the counter with the cash register. Because if you change that, then the world comes to an end. You've got to do ADA, and that requires new countertops. The whole place has to be torn up. So, given the age, you've got to be careful what you wish for. You can't just start changing things. And they are grandfathered in. You can't make them do anything at this point.
So, but we can look at places like the Cowpoke and Harvester's. We can look at those places that we like and strive to continue to create a town that follows suit in that character. And what Dave's doing out there at the mansion.
Well, anything else on Dollar General? We're obviously, yes, Marty.
I don't know what this is worth, but I have a coworker that lives in the Oaks, and she says she loves Dollar General. So,
Oh, I've met people
just sharing that.
say, absolutely, it'd be a great asset to the community. I said, okay, well, if you want to express your opinion, come to the math meeting and express your opinion. So, okay, I will. So, yes.
You can also write letters to the planning department or the commissioners. You can email the math, like you said, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of ways you can get your opinion out there without coming to a meeting if you don't have the time or something.
Monica, do you guys have a committee, or it may be even too early for a committee to go public, but maybe like a Facebook page that people could just find out the dates and stuff on and join? People that they can join that page from both sides, not to give an opinion, but to just know where they can voice their opinions without even leaving their house.
Yeah, it's like one of our problems, we don't have the newspaper in town anymore. So at the Facebook, I don't know, again, because this is, as Fletcher was saying, this group is, it kind of operates more as a Middletown town hall meeting. It is approved by the Board of Supervisors as a municipal advisory council. And that's why the insistence on having a board. So to operate outside of the board meetings, I don't know, I'd have to look at
We will not get involved in social media for that kind of stuff. If people want to come, they're welcome to come to the town hall and express their opinion and all of that. But we're not going to get involved in social media.
That presents all kinds of problems.
That's all kinds of problems.
Yes.
And I don't want to do that.
was
that
appointed
one.
by this group and by the board.
It's like the planning commission did more.
Yeah.
So that's,
I'd say maybe we shouldn't then vote on like whether we're gonna be in favor of this or not, and not just agree that we're not gonna take a stance as the Middletown Area Town Hall, because Jim Comstock, he's.
So we're not gonna take that stand. It's not my business to tell this group what to do. If we're in fact an advisory council, then we have an obligation, I think, to the community to express the opinion of those people that come and express their opinion and relate that opinion to Planning Commission and to
Forest Supervisors.
Planning Commission first, and then, if necessary, to the Board of Supervisors.
Well, and as he suggests, if they jump through all the hoops, that's a good point. I mean, if they do everything that is required of them, then what does it matter whether we recommend, we're in favor of this or not?
well, because,
We're not the final arbiter of this thing. We're just going to make a recommendation, and the Planning Commission will say, thank you very much for your opinion. I mean, that's just one opinion.
but the planning commission and or the board of supervisors, if it was to go before them, they want to hear the community input.
Yeah.
But it's just also on this type of a project you do, and that's why I encourage everybody to, at the very least, to look back in the Laco News and read the report on the Kelseyville hearing, or look at the video, because you have to know that while you can go up and you can talk about anything, and I know that there's a movement here that we'd like everybody to eat healthier food, but at this point in time, the government is not going to get involved in telling people what they can and cannot eat. So, so that's not going to be a valid argument going before the Planning Commission or the Board of Supervisors, correct?
Correct.
So you have to look at, what they have to have findings. And the findings are based on the documents that have been approved by the Board of Supervisors. So you have to know, if you're going to go and argue for or against, that you have to know what valid argument you can use.
And that was the reason I formed the committee, to find out what that argument would be for or against.
You gotta remember that, following the rules that are laid down, the reason it's important is because those rules affect all projects, the ones you're in favor of and the ones you're against. So, you might be able to twist it this time to get something pushed down, but on the same token, the next time that could be used to go the other direction. And so we've set up these codes and stuff and the area plans to serve as a guide for the county administrators, planning commission, board of supervisors, public, business owners, everybody to follow to have a successful project.
Yes.
So the idea is, if they follow all the rules, do everything that they're supposed to do, then that leads to a successful project. As soon as you take and you make it so that no longer works, then you have a problem with everything. Everybody can get around the rules, and suddenly, just because somebody doesn't want to do something, then you lose sort of your basis, and then you have a dangerous situation where things just happen, and that's what leads to, weird developments and things just happening all over without any kind of a plan. And if you go through the board and you appeal too many, and the grants are appealed, appeals are granted too many times to get around different portions of our, plans and zoning and all those things, then that almost becomes an automatic pass, because, well, Frank did it last week. He came up here, he got a zoning pass for that. Why do I have to do it? And then okay, yeah, you're right. And then it trickles down, and you have problems. So it's important that we do these things.
Now, however, it is, the public is encouraged to come forward and share their comments that, maybe are outside those parameters, because maybe there are certain things that need to change.
Sure.
As far as signage. Maybe there is something, it needs to be brought up, because then maybe as you go through the zoning ordinance, maybe something does need to change a little bit there, because things have changed in the last 10 years or what have you. So it's good to bring up, and that's why, of course, they want to hear from people in the community, because this is our community. So we know what happens here. She left. But
the number one issue that as Board of Supervisors I felt voted not to allow the appeal was that the large number of people from Kelseyville that came and no one from Dollar General. That meant a lot. The supervisors couldn't ask the people from Dollar General one question. Could ask the builder, but all he was doing is building the building. So, and they had a large group of people that had been in Kelseyville for a long time.
And one more thing too, when it gets to the planning commission, we often ask for changes. You know, we'll say, okay, you know, there's two things at one point that the sides are disagreeing on. If we can determine a midway point that people will agree on, we'll ask that that be added and we'll make the motion as amended today. So it's not just necessarily, it's not a yes or no situation all the time. You know, it's, you know, it's you trying to make a project work or not. If it's not going to work, then facing that fact. But you can talk about things and get, you know, minor additions, you know, and stuff like that changed. You know, okay, so if you meet this design requirement, if you do this, then everybody's happy with that. Okay, great. Then we can ask that that be amended sometimes. So that's one other reason that your input's important, because, you know, somebody might have a good idea.
You can put
You can put it,
conditions.
well, the conditions on it, or just amend the way that we read the vote.
Will we have notice and be able to view the plans and stuff prior to that decision being made? Because I know there's certain things that we would want to change, like where the parking is.
Well, you'll know before me, because I'll get my packet like a week and a half before the commission, and you'll get the packets, like the one that was circulated, you'll get something before I do. I'm the last in the chain. It goes through all the departments, goes through comment outside of the different communities, and then it goes back to planning. Planning makes any changes it wants, and when they're finalized, when they're happy with it, then it goes to me, and then I get to read it.
We will be notified when I've talked to planning. I said, this is not,
They know it's a hot button item.
they know it's hot button item, and they will let us know when the developer says, this is what we want to do, period. And this is what California wants us to do, and we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And then they will let us know. We can take time to look at the plans and then find out what they will do and what they won't do. And then we can have a meeting. It may be an emergency meeting, but we'll have a meeting and decide what we want to do. And then we'll go to the planning commission and give them our input. You'll already know anyway, because he'll be at our meetings. So.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that we had a voice in the negotiations, not that people went to negotiations and then all of a sudden we
Everything
find out,
happens in the
okay,
open.
it's all done.
There's no sideline in the planning commission. Everything happens right there in front of everybody. So there's no, let's go over here to this room and talk necessarily. It's like, okay, we might take a break or something like that, but people give the sides a chance to talk. And then also they have the opportunity to withdraw their application. If things aren't going their way and they think that they may be able to come back at a future date, they can say, you know what, we're going to just withdraw our application at this point, so they don't lose their money and everything, and we don't make a vote, and they don't have to go appeal to the board of supervisors right away, or whatever. They can withdraw their application and then go back with planning and continue to work on their project and then bring it back at a later date. So there's lots of options that can happen.
Okay. Any other questions on Dollar General? I'll repeat that to death again. That seems to be a really hot item for everyone. I'm not sure why, but it is, so we'll deal with it. Anything else for tonight?
The only other thing I'd like to add to the Dollar General real quick is that, again, I know, one of the reasons why a project like this ends up at the Planning Commission, because there are many projects that just go through the Community Development Department and don't land at the Planning Commission. The reason why this does is because there's a discrepancy in interpretation in what the project can and cannot do. So it needs to be decided upon and heard. So with that, again, this community, what do we want this community to look like? And I know that the Community Development Department is happy to try to push if this project comes through, to whatever this community wants it to look like. And, we have some power, so to speak, and it's up to us to decide to use it or not. But I know I've personally talked to Rick Coel, and he has said,
Poor guy.
what are we going to ask of them?
That's right. He asked me
And that's
the
where
same
he
thing.
does need to hear from the community.
And everyone has to take the attitude that we all bend a little bit. If Dollar General can redesign their building and move it around to where it fits in with the community and they do eyewash things to make it better, then we should all look at that. If they say, no, this is our standard plan and we're not going to change it, then okay, then we'll have our say about that too. So,
If you let them come in, yeah, if they come in and they just get a standard plan and stuff, that makes it very difficult in the future to tell anybody else they got to stick to our plan, no matter where it is on Main Street. So that's something to consider.
Sorry I was late, but I was working, but I wanted to ask, so did we respond or we didn't respond to that when they asked for community input? Isn't that part of what we talked about last time? We didn't respond to it?
no, it's not time.
Okay, that's all I wanted. Wait, I thought that
No,
that
but
was...
We did
Michelin asked or
respond to the
something?
extent that I wrote a letter to
Michelin?
Michelin and told her that we'd want to be involved, when the time comes. But we're still, I don't even know how far out, we may be 90 days or 120 days out without any problem at all. I mean, it's just not time for us to respond because we don't know what we're going to be responding to. I don't know what the building's going to look like. I don't know where it's going to be placed. We cannot, the worst thing we can do is write a letter saying we're opposed to Dollar General. And they say, why? Because we're just opposed to it. And that is not a valid argument.
Right, I understand. My understanding was last time that we discussed this, that the idea was that we were going to write something more like, we wanted to see that it fits the area plan and we would have concerns if it didn't or something like that, That was what I understood from our meeting last time.
We did write a letter. Claude actually wrote a letter to the planner and said we were concerned about this and that. We would want to know if we have time to respond before it was given. She said, we don't even know what they want yet. Nobody knows what they want to do. So it's hard to respond to something when you don't know what they're going to want to.
Right, and the committee saw the letter and all of that, because that was what we discussed also.
The committee's been involved in
Yeah.
day one.
I've talked to Rick and stuff, and also we've had conversations. He understands what
So there's concerns.
the design and there's concerns. Yeah, he's very aware
Okay,
of
thank you.
what's going on.
I feel an obligation to say one thing. Someone said to my wife the other day, well, we know Fletcher's in favor of Dollar General. Now, how did anybody know that? Don't ever assume anything. I never assume what you're going to do or what you're going to do or what you're thinking. I don't know what your thinking is.
You can
I don't
assume
know.
I'm in favor of it.
Huh?
You can assume I'm in favor of it, yeah.
Well, maybe you'll change your mind. I don't know.
No.
But, I beg your pardon?
Me too.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. We all have our opinion. When the time comes, we'll all vote our opinion, and that'll be the end of that. So, I've not made up my mind, because I don't know what they want to build yet. Does anybody know?
Well, they have adopted the western pack, the western facade, or they've already agreed.
Somewhat. And they moved the building, some.
Yeah.
But it's still not, in my opinion, it still doesn't fit in.
What I felt from that meeting when they were here and we were talking, they kind of said, oh yeah, we'll work with you. But then it kind of felt like they had no intention of working with us.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Was the feeling I got from that meeting.
They said the trucks have to be in a certain way, and that's what they're doing to design the way they
Yeah,
are.
well, they changed it, so it didn't have to be that way, obviously.
Okay, good.
You know, the argument, there's too much truck traffic coming on, have one truck a week, period.
Yeah.
So that argument is not a valid argument. I mean, has any of you ever been to Harvesters on a Friday night behind Harvesters?
That's existing.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter. We're talking about traffic. It's Grand Central Station. I mean, there's trucks all over the place, but that's what it takes.
That's every day.
Well, maybe every day, but, you know, how would you feel if you went in there and there's no bread? Well, we had too many trucks this week. We can't have any bread. So, you know, you do what you have to do, whether it's Harvesters, whether it's Dollar General, or CJS Feed Store. You know, they got to keep their stuff going, and they don't get to design the roads. They just use them. Okay? Anything else on Dollar General before we put her to bed for one more session? Item 8, October 8th agenda. Middletown Superintendent of Schools Catherine Stone will be here. And there's some things that I'd like to alert you to that you can investigate. And that is why the new school does not have fencing around it. Why it's not safe for the kids yet. And why they don't have a multi-purpose room, and why there's no signs out front, flashing signs for the safety of the young people. And there's a lot of things on the new school that doesn't seem very well thought out to me. So if you have time, go by and take a look at the school and watch the kids operate and watch the traffic, and then you'll have some comments, maybe have some questions for.
Where's the new school at? I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Well, it's underneath, it's underneath a little bush.
It's across the street from the high school.
Across the street from the high school?
From the Tallman
Big
Gym.
Canyon.
Big Canyon Road.
Oh, I didn't even know they were building anything.
Yeah. they've
Well,
got-
obviously, you're not gonna have any questions.
I mean, little kids that go to school either.
So, because I don't travel by there first thing in the morning, you know, when school starts and stuff, if anybody else travels that way in
Every
the
morning.
morning, is the traffic any better? Is that improved with?
Traffic's
with the
better on
school?
29. Traffic's
So,
better
you know,
on
because
29.
before it used to always back up there with the
Right.
school and they, you know, everybody turns
Not so
in there
bad
to go
now.
through the loop.
It's
It's
not so
better.
bad.
That's good.
I'd still like to see the high school close that driveway that's closest to the light, because that's where the traffic gets hung up,
Right.
even today. But it is better. And they've got a good route for dropping kids off at the grammar school. You go down Big Canyon, you can only go in one way, and there's lots of room for the cars to stack up. The test will be when it starts raining. We'll find out whether they have ample room for the kids to be dropped off. Because I've seen parents, they don't want to let their kids walk 10 feet in the rain.
My kids will walk a quarter mile in the rain.
Want to wrestle, right?
They have kind of a multi-purpose room there too.
Do they?
Their cafeteria, it's really small, but they kind of use it for stuff like, we were there, that's where I was tonight, that's why I was a little late getting here. They had their open house tonight.
Okay, and then in November, Assemblyman Dodd will be here. McGuire, I'm sorry, not Dodd. Dodd is opening his office in Lakeport on 20, when is it?
September 29th.
29th, yeah. So if you want to go over and shake hands with him and meet him,
Aren't they sharing an office?
Yes, McGuire and Dodd.
Yeah.
so it's a rare opportunity to meet and shake hands with a politician.
Any word on that lake money they were talking about?
Lake money?
Yeah, they were talking
I
about.
don't know.
It's not
I thought it
happening.
got denied.
It's not happening?
The lake money.
Yeah, it was denied.
She's all that bad press we got and everything.
Let me
So,
read you
that's the link one.
a part of a letter from Department of Transportation.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll just, the second paragraph. In the fall of 2014, Caltrans conducted an investigation of pedestrian crossing at the Calliope Street intersection with SR 29. Our traffic study office looked at pedestrian volumes, collision history, roadway width, and traffic speed, and initiated a project to install concrete bulb outs, marked crosswalks, and parallel parking at this intersection to facilitate pedestrian crossing. We expect this project to move through the development process and be delivered in a timely manner.
What's the date?
That is August 25th.
Okay,
I thought that was interesting.
so that's right here.
Yeah.
And a timely manner is spring of
I
2016.
don't know what a timely manner is, but I've got this guy's name and I'll find out.
Please.
What is it again? What's the summary?
I beg pardon?
What's the summary of what you just read? Sorry.
Calliope Street, they're gonna make bump outs and put better crosswalks and parallel parking.
Thank you.
That's part of our
Plan.
area plan, yeah. We are aware of raised pavement markers being placed in communities on local streets outside of the state right-of-way. According to the California Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, they are not recommended for areas where snow plows would damage the markers and require an unusual amount of replacement. Therefore, we will not be installing them along section of SR 29. We will be installing a highly visibility ladder-style crosswalk at Calliope Street as part of the new pedestrian project referred to above. I think the ladder is very much like the ones in town.
Yes.
Heavy duty, very visible. So, that was good news.
Then we'll get sidewalk in front of
Yeah, we may-
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think we'll get a sidewalk in front of the park.
Front of the
I know
park,
they've
yeah.
been
So we're
considering-
getting a crosswalk then between
Over-
here and
And the museum.
Museum.
Yeah.
Nice.
We requested that over a year ago.
Yeah, we've written a letter and we had them out.
Have we had any
But you
kind
never know when you reach them. You never know.
have we had any kind of update of them widening the shoulders on 175 out to the
That
heart?
is going. That has been approved and it is going. The
Yay!
downside of it is where it goes, you know, we have those trees cross. One side of the trees are gonna go.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
That just,
So
Caltrans just does what they want?
Hmm?
Caltrans just makes a decision and does what they want, or do they?
Well, that's what you have to do if you're gonna widen it.
They only have so much right of way, and so if you're gonna put a wide trail in there and they don't have enough room between the road and their right of way edge, you know, without acquiring right of way, which is a pain in the butt.
Can't they just put culverts and put the
No, Caltrans does not do projects other than what the designers say they can do. And I talked to Clyde Blondell, and he said those trees on the south side of 175 are gonna have to go. So we'll keep the ones on the right, but we're gonna have, those trees, there's just not room to get the shoulder in there, period. And you know, we initiated that when we said, we have kids that want to ride horses to the park, but they can't because there's no shoulders.
right.
And they said, well, write letters. So we wrote a letter years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's been approved.
Oh.
And while
There's
we're doing
nothing
that,
they
they're
can do.
straightening out that curve where Dry Creek
Right.
crossing comes in.
Good,
They're going to
that's
get rid of that curve. They've purchased some land, they're going to straighten that out too.
And they can't run a pathway on the other side of the trees?
No, not enough right away.
Are you talking about the bridge over Dry Creek? That's
No, it's that side. Dry Creek Bridge won't be touched. It's to
Highway
the west
175.
of Smith's place.
On Highway 175?
Yeah,
Oh, man, that's too bad.
yeah. But you know what, you know,
Then they'll be riding in the bright, hot sunlight, too.
yeah, it's good for you.
Ugh.
Get rid of some of that paleness in your
Felt
face.
cowboy hat.
Okay, anything else?
Felt cowboy.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay.
Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Well, like crazy, man. How about you? Yeah, I've been outside doing